I just finished having my morning coffee and just watched a beautiful sunrise. Sun's now up just over the trees. And before it gets too hot, I think it would be a good time to make a video. So the thought that jumped into my mind that I'd like to talk about is making a good plan. Yeah, Rob, that's so obvious. I'll tell you, it's obvious to think about. It's really not obvious to do. And here's the important part. And here's the important part. You have to have a good plan, and then you have to stick to it, because what's going to happen is all these things will come in and will tend to pull you off your plan, and you'll say, well, I got to be flexible. I got to be adaptable. I'll do, and then you're not really sure where you're going or with whom, and that can really detract from a fellow's happy retirement here. In fact, it'll make a happy retirement pretty darn impossible. And and I didn't know this necessarily for very long before I got here. What happened, though, I had one time I'll tell you about before arriving here, where I had to make a long-term plan, a specific one, and had to stick to it. Well, actually, I can think of two now. One was my divorce. When you're going through a divorce, you'll find that the other party is, they say, uncooperative. Whatever you want, they will want the opposite. Whatever, if you say you want this property or sell that at that price, often a person in that, the other person in that sort of more confrontational, competitive mindset might just say the opposite for just opposite's sake, and it becomes very difficult. So I did make a plan about that. I was very careful. I think if you're in a longer term marriage, it's harder because you've got more things you've accumulated, together, so to say, over a long period of time, and then to untangle all that is more stress, more work, more effort, and more legal fees, I think. I will tell you, by blind luck and getting the right attorney, my legal fees were extremely cheap. I think I only paid like $7,000 in legal fees. It was crazy cheap. I know, I'll just say the other side paid many times more than that, is what I heard. And that didn't surprise me. Court is a terrible place and a very expensive place to attempt to get a pound of flesh. And attempt, because you really won't. If someone's difficult to ruffle, you'll be throwing rocks at the fog for a long time, and your arm will get sore before the fog really cares about how many rocks you threw at it. So there's a good lesson. But the specific one that I'm really thinking about was just before the divorce, actually. And I took a look at my financial situation, and my advisor sat me down and said, well, Rob, if you divorce, you're not going to have enough money for this, that, and the other thing. It's going to be hard for you. Healthcare is going to eat you up, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I started thinking seriously about a Southeast Asian retirement. I didn't know specifically where at that point, but I was thinking about maybe I'd need to go. I was not like so obtuse I didn't realize I didn't have enough money. I think you're well aware if you have or not have enough. With that, and then I needed more money. So what do you do? So there was a lot going on in the year 2020, and the following year or two after that. There was a lot happening in the United States and around the world, and a person that's maybe only had one or two classes in finance could look at that and look at the markets for stocks and bonds and commodities, and with only average layman level knowledge, and I really mean this, you could aggressively, if you made a plan and maybe you had a mentor or two that would walk you and hold your hand through the whole process, and thank you very much to those people, you might be able to do some very risky, very aggressive things that maybe work out very positively for you, and possibly even to repair a poor financial situation and turn it into not a great one, not a fantastic one, but one that works versus one that doesn't work. Where the numbers, okay, now the numbers make sense versus, the numbers really aren't meeting up. And so I had that lesson of, I made a very specific plan. I was mentored at that time. Rob, we have to come up with, and by we, they really meant they were helping. They were doing this all the time. That's how that one person was very wealthy. But they allowed me to be their little coattail buddy for a period of time, I'll just say, and which was extremely kind and generous. But they said we have to make a specific plan. You can't just try to just. It isn't just buy low, sell high. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing, but you have to stick. You've got to stick to it over like a medium term. We have to define what term of time, what percentages, how much risk, and it's got to be very. It's got to be a very comprehensive plan. And so when you come here, I think you want the same thing. And I'll tell you, the first few people you meet here, the first few people that meet you. And this is the crazy part, whether they're Western, foreign, whether they're foreign or local, it won't matter. Isn't that weird? It will not matter. The first few people here that introduce themselves to you will be people that later on you will regret. You will regret. They're users. They're great at picking out the noobs, and foreign people here, and the local people. And there's black-hearted people everywhere. There just is. So your plan should include avoiding the real new your initial acquaintances. There. I was looking for a way to say that, and then you want to come up with a financial plan. Obviously, I think the financial plan should be the bigger part. I feel like most guys make the emotional, romantic companionship plan. From what they, what is it? The mouth is a bucket which serves up, which is what's in the well of the heart, or something. I'm mangling that quote, and I'll try and put the proper reference on the screen. But it's true. People speak about what's naturally in their heart. If you're sitting down with me, eventually I might ask you about, well, you like motorcycles? You like muscle cars? Those are my passions. If you're into if you're into like money, stocks, global politics, I'm not really interested in talking about those things. I'm really not, it's just not my thing. I'm weightlifting. You get the, anyway. You'll really want to focus on the money side. And what I suggest is following the 4% rule. Yeah, they say it's a 5% rule. I back that down to 4. 4% is 80% of 5%. That's a 20% additional slack or safety margin. And then out of that 4% of my pension income, I mostly spend that every year. I plan my trips, my travel home, stuff with my kids, all the stuff I do with Fawn, the support I give her, and the little bit of support I give to her family, only after having been exclusive with Fawn for 2 or 3 years prior. Okay, so any woman requesting before that, that's a no-go. Please don't do that. That's not legit. That's not honest. The traditional Thai people are very considerate, very grangjai, and they're very frugal. They have a big anchoring cardinal phrase here, siadai ngun, which is wasting money. And they deeply dislike that. So anyway, I would make your financial plan the anchor, the core of your whole plan here. And I would make it very specific. 4% means out of every year, you total up your income. If you have a nest egg, you take 4% of that. And then you make that an income. If you've got a pension on top of that, praise God, good for you. You're fortunate. A lot of guys don't have that. And then you put those two together, divide by 12. There's your monthly total income that you probably can spend every month, other than like keeping an emergency reserve fund, of course, as well. And then you've got that 20% slack, 4% versus 5 built in every month. So you'll be accumulating out of that every year. And so your emergency reserve fund will be growing every year. And then after 2, 3, 4 years, that reserve fund gets bigger than you think you need. Hey, now it's time to, do what you wanted to do all of your life. Go take that gigantic trip mountain climbing. If you're that fit, I'm jealous. I'd love to do that, but that's never going to happen. So, all that kind of stuff. And then I would put the women as an accessory, the frosting of the cupcake as, I love that line from Blade. I never get it right, but there's the movie Blade, the first one with Wesley Snipes. He's got your world is a sugar-coated topping. There's a real world underneath. I just love that. That's such good. How come they don't have good writing like that? And all the movies now are just, I could write that dialogue, and I have no talent. As evidenced by all these videos, no talent. And anyways, then I would do it that way. But what regardless of what it is you want to do, you want to visit as many places as possible. You want to just date and be carefree because you've got the health for it. Whatever the heck it is. You want to raise a new family. You want to have kids. I know guys doing that and they're happy with that. So, and I know guys that did that and they're miserable. So be careful if you choose that one. Whatever your plan is, really think about what you want. Because I think a lot of people, I tell you, the knee-jerk reaction of your average human being is to think they want something that they don't really actually want, or at least it's not anything that's going to make them happy. I'll tell you, when my first job out of college, for 8 years, I worked for a very sophisticated construction company, what they call a design build. We had in-house architects, and we had a couple really gifted people. I think both of the lead architects went on to have kind of a local name and each have their own firm. I mean, so it was a pretty cool environment. It was a very high-powered firm. I was the nobody, believe me. And we get these super rich customers, and we were building $10 million houses back 30 years ago. So, this is nuts. This is a crazy situation. And these people were, big, the phrase is they were legends in their own minds. They were a great accountant. Therefore, they were a better architect than our people. And, one lady took over the design of her entire home, and she made a gigantic copy of her suburban cookie-cutter house that she had in the neighborhood before they had struck it rich, or before her husband's medical practice became a giant franchise, I should say. But in her mind, this made her this great leader of some kind. And then in the end, we had a very hard time getting her into this house because it was, was ugly. All the other houses were gorgeous. Are these award-winning architects designed? People that go on to become award-winning architects designed these homes for us, working in the architectural department that we had, and. And then there was her house, designed by a housewife. It was so know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, but make a good plan. And the other thing I would say is, and I'm always talking about how, there's a lot of crazy people here and stuff. Generally, it's not like that dangerous. This is a very safe place. I have an apartment back home still, and I'm in an extremely safe neighborhood in a very safe county, of very low crime stats. Overall, Michigan is not a crazy place. Detroit's a little rough. I get you. I'll give you that. But if you're not inside Detroit, it's really pretty mild out in the suburbs. And here, it's got to be 10 times safer. The violent random crime is incredibly rare. Almost doesn't exist here. It's really it's mostly jealous lovers chased each other around with a stick or a machete, which is not good. But careful what you're doing. Those people participated in that drama. And most of the Westerners here really won't bother you, and the Thai people will never bother you. And I'm not putting them on a pedestal or anything. We're just not on their radar. They got their Thai friends and their Thai job and stuff, and then people come here all afraid of the Thai people, and they start telling their long-term, their most dire secrets, and confiding in the expat next to them at the pub that they met 20 minutes ago is now their new brother. And man, that's just not a good plan. Please don't put that in your plan. The Thai people will just leave you alone, and in fact, you can even tell some. If you really, I think it's a bad idea, but if you had to blab to somebody, you'd be better off blabbing to the random Thai person because we're not on their radar. Versus the other Westerners here, jealousy is just a big thing, and that's just men over 50, retired, come in here on a smaller. So there are super rich guys here. I know some guys that are crazy rich, and they just live here because they like the weather and the women, and this is a better spot to park their sailboat. But whatever. But that's not most guys. Most guys come here because it's financially advantageous, and therefore over 50 men tend to have problems anyways. And I'm saying that as a well over 50 man or as an over 60 man. And then the jealousy becomes crazy. So I talk about this in more detail in my book, but I would include being quiet as part of your plan. And you'll meet plenty of friendly guys. And if you're a German guy, you'll find German groups. There's American meetup groups. If you're the UK, a lot of UK guys. You're German and UK, there's lots of meetup groups, lots of that. There's a little tiny bit of US. I do run into French people from time to time. I'm not aware of any French groups. I bet you there is one, though. And I know there's Scandinavian groups. I know that because one of the places I go, there's a Scandinavian group. I hear about it once in a while. What's with those guys from Denmark? I'm just teasing, having a little fun, but it's a tiny population. But man, they're in the news every week. Some dude from Denmark is running around, literally, like the last guy was naked and running around outside his hotel or something. Like, I'm always laughing because I always think of, I'm Scandinavian, part Scandinavian myself, so I'm saying this with love. It's just funny that I always think of that as a conservative culture, and then it always kind of a chuckle when I hear these crazy outlandish stories. And I'm telling you, like 40% of the time it's some dude from Denmark, and I'm like, there's like 6 million people or something in that country. How many of them are actually here? It's just like statistically, you know, just joking, just having fun. Okay. I don't think that's literally true. It's just such an odd thing that I find it humorous. So forgive me for having a little fun there. But I love all you guys. Again, part Scandinavian. I always like meeting up with other people like that, and it's always a little fun to hear what they have to say. Yeah, I would say sit down and really think about what makes you happy first. I talk about this again more in my book, but and then just really doggedly stick to it, because that's when I learned when I did this plan to be able to quote unquote afford my divorce. It was hard. It was really emotionally. I was a wreck. I mean, I would never do that again, and I never did do that since. But it was an extended period of quite a few months, and it was hard to sleep. You had to watch the markets hour by hour every day, market open, market close, and then planning at night before the next open. And praise God, it was really successful. It was great. Not bragging about how much money I made, but it was just enough that it put me over to where I was just better able to afford my retirement after working 35 years. After 35 years, I was looking at to my perspective, my analysis of my own retirement, I thought it was kind of unfair on the small side. Just my personal opinion about my own state. And with this, it was just able to bump me up that little bit more to where, okay, that's a less bitter pill to swallow. That's more comfortable. I guess I'm okay with that. And not that I had a whole lot of choice, because I was going to be separating from my first wife one way or the other. In fact, she ended up filing on me before I even could put my plan together. So they say, and I don't know if it's true, but I've read in a couple of reputable spots on the internet, which you always got to worry about what you read on the internet, but they say like the overwhelming majority of divorces are initiated by women, that they're quicker to be less happy, less tolerant maybe. I don't know if that's true or not. Anybody know if that's true? Comment. Anybody got any real data that that's true or not? But that's what I guess I'm inclined to believe after having read it and then I lived it, you know. But doesn't make anybody better than anybody. It's just interesting. But you always think it'd be the man, you know, but it seems like it's not. But anyway, that's what I got to say. I would say make a plan. And guys don't do that. A lot of guys don't do that. Now, I see channel subscribers and members I meet up here. Maybe they read that in my book or something, but then I'll see that they are following some kind of plan. And I think that's awesome that they take that to heart. 'Cause I think that'll help separate you from the herd here, because the average guy here really isn't doing all that great. I'll tell you. In fact, a statistic that I believe is generally guys here aren't any happier than they are back home. The same, 1/3, 2/3 happy, not happy. It's about the same ratio here as back home. It's not different. So it's down to each individual person to make a situation that will make them happy. And in hindsight, I could be, now that I've kind of calmed down and healed a lot better, I could be happier back home. But it would just be me. I would just absorb myself in with my life with my boy, my son, which would be fine. But I don't really think that he necessarily would honestly want me around like hours a day, every single day. So I think that I'd end up just driving him to and from work, which there are worse fates. That is not bad. Go to dinner twice a week. I mean, I could, honestly, that'd be fine. But this is a much richer thing for me, and he seems to be quite happy just chatting with me. We text and chat almost every day, and it seems to work out pretty well. Praise God for technology. So, anyways, that's it. I just wanted to say that, and just I noticed that, and here got my Thai homework here. I'm going back to the months. I just never learned the names of all the months. Isn't that embarrassing after all this time? But I just never really thought about it. Now it's like, all right, it's embarrassing. I don't know the name. I know the name of like 8 of the months or 6 of the months. I got to get them all down with the spelling. Anyways, that's it. Take care, everybody. Appreciate you. Thank you. Lots of bonus footage this week. I've been whining about my O2 sensor for the last few videos. It's been really frustrating because I really enjoy my motorcycling. I And a lot of guys that ride a motorcycle talk about the therapeutic value of doing that, and I think it's really true. There's Josh Brolin, the famous actor. I really like him. One of my favorite movies, Sicario, and he did an interview, I don't know, a few years back or something, where he talked about his passion for motorcycling, how it's therapeutic. You can probably find that with an internet search. It's a good clip. He explains it better than I ever could. But I solved it. So I complained. I went to the dealership, and I was navigating to somewhere else, and I misunderstood the nav. I rarely use navigation, and I was going to a clover leaf, like literally like 6 ways to go, and of course the nav just shows a big blue line, and I chose the wrong big blue line or whatever, and so it basically, probably subconsciously, but took me right to the Harley Davidson dealership. So I'm like, you know what, I'm close. I'm just going on in because I'm sick of this. And I politely said that, look, I said, T Lan Ni at this place. I said, Tukon Di Mak. Everybody is great, very great. I said, Dewa, which is like however or but. I said, T Saharat, in America, the corporate, the Bodhisat. Chamak, they're very slow, and I said yak kap motorsai. I want to ride my motorcycle. Kap my die, I cannot ride it. And these are all motorcycle guys. They get it. And so then my sales rep was out that day, which is fine. And then he called Fawn the next day, or texted her, long series of texts. And hey, they can do it. And so I'm going to go in, buy the freaking sensor. I don't really care what it costs at this point. Also, I complained. I called the Harley Davidson main customer service line in America. I always have an American SIM. If you're an American or a German, whatever, have a home country SIM in your phone. I just switch SIMs, hit a button, boop, and then I just call, no problem. The call cost me nothing. And I explained to them the situation, and then they took in my name, address. I explained I've got 2 addresses, and then my VIN number and all that, and my full legal name and everything. So I also kind of registered myself with them a little bit, probably a good idea. And then they still haven't gotten back to me. That's been almost 3 days ago now. So great, they picked up the call on the 3rd ring, and I got a real person, but demerit points for, I think, over 2 days, and I haven't heard anything. So we'll see how that goes. But if I don't hear anything in a week, I may call and just bitch. I don't know if it does anything. Probably doesn't do anything, and I probably got better things to do, so maybe I won't. That's it. That's my O2 sensor story. Monday, just thinking, I got a whole week of this ahead of me. Awesome. Just had a great talk with my daughter, which was wonderful. Long talk. She had a lot she wanted to tell me, which was all awesome stuff. And school, my class that I'm in is closed at Usini School this week. Closed for a couple weeks, maybe longer. Just a variety of housekeeping reasons amongst all the people involved. So I'll miss it, but I've got my notebook on the seat next to me there. I'll be studying some Thai today. I've got a new word I want to put down. A couple new words, actually. So I'm going to do that and review all my old stuff. I just review it and review it and review it until I sort of remember it, and then I'll recognize the word when it's spoken. I'll have a few more questions about it, and eventually, usually, not always, but usually then I can figure out how to use it in a proper Thai sentence, or at least some kind of use of speech of some kind. Busy day, Monday, busy day. I've got 4 big errands today. I've got to return a shelf that I measured massively wrong. You can see it in the back there. And my friend, a local man that made it for me, we're laughing about it. He offered to make me a brand new one. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm going to give you the old one, cut it, do whatever. Because the materials are the cost here. He's overly generous. Anyways, but that's a good problem to have. And then I've got to just do some general housekeeping things, and I need to buy my mineral water that I like. I'm just buying a little nicer. I'm buying above the cheapest absolute water I can get my hands on these days. One of my ways I've upgraded my life is better water quality. Hopefully, I'm buying more expensive water. Hopefully it's better. It's from a big major name brand. I hope. God only knows, right? But doing that, and then it's shoulder day. And yesterday was Muay Thai day, so see how shoulder day goes today. I couldn't tell you. But I did the world's lamest Muay Thai. Pretty humiliating for someone that trained as long as I did. It was pretty bad, but I loved it and it was fine. So what can you do? Okay, so not every day in Thailand is fantastic. I'm having a relatively crappy day today. Point being that it's still better than most days back in my home, which is really just a sad statistic, but it's just true. But I've got some kind of a cyst thingy right on my, right by my carotid artery, and it's throbbing and it really hurts. And I'm like telling the doctor, just cut the damn thing. I'm using politer language than that, but I'm like, just cut the damn thing off or give it an injection. He's like, no, antibiotics for weeks, see you later. And as you know, if you cause them to lose face, then you're shut down. So I'm like, hey, that sounds great. Thank you. I'll see you in a week. I'll enjoy my pain. And then my O2 sensor is still not here, and I'm really getting tired of waiting. It's been near a month and a half waiting for a freaking part. But I guess I don't know, there's some kind of paperwork administrative issue is the problem, not really a mechanical. I love administrative issues with a motorcycle. That really, nothing underscores freedom of motorcycling like administrative issues. So that's great. And then I'm tired. I'm really tired. Just not feeling great today. But I'm going to push through because I want to go to the Muay Thai gym and just lay eyes in the damn place. I messaged with this gym while I was in America. Never set one foot in the place. I just want to at least get there and maybe schedule a session of some kind. It's going to be the oldest old man Muay Thai you ever heard of, but if I keep waiting, I'm just getting older every year, and it's just not working. This waiting, that's the problem. All this stuff, all these complications with the spine and the 3 surgeries and all that happened around age 60, and that's a terrible time to be doing this stuff. Shit. This is Rob. Video's over. I'm closing my gate. But if you've been liking or subscribing, or and praise God if you've been a member of the channel, I really appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that watches. You have a great day.